Hey everybody! So we are doing a tour of my top 10 decks. So this includes tarot decks and it also includes oracle decks. So, and we're gonna go roughly from not least favorite, but the ones that I might use a little bit more sporadically or specifically, all the way to my current, at least current favorite decks, or ones that I think are the most unique or special that I own. Yeah, and then if you see some other decks off to the side, I'm doing over on my Patreon a tour of all of my decks, so kind of superlative style. Best ones for journaling, best ones for connecting to my ancestry, that type of thing. So I have the link in bio if you want to check that out. But let's go ahead and get started. And I wanted to start with a tarot deck. And this is my Tarot of the Divine. This is probably, statistically, the tarot deck I have used the most frequently over the past few years, up until recently, and we'll get to that one. But I really like this deck, whether it's for personal use, more general readings, or if it's for clients, just because it's really straightforward. I personally have a really easy time reading it. It shuffles really nicely. I really like the box. It's nice and like sturdy. Honestly, I appreciate the booklet. It's really short descriptions, so if you're a beginner, you might would want something more than this. But for me, it's perfect, and I like that it has color. But it kind of just gives me, if I just want to see like the gist, or I just want to see what specifically they worded it, or if I can't remember the fairy tale, I can do that. So I'm not going to do a full flip through. If there's a deck that you see that you'd really like to see a full walkthrough, comment down below, and I'd love to do like a full walkthrough and maybe go more in depth about it. But they have really nice card stock. It shuffles really like smoothly. You will get some jumpers, but I work with jumpers anyways. But yeah, the deck is based off of a bunch of mythology and some deities, but also just mythological stories from all over the world. And I think it does a really nice job with having a diverse range of stories and cultures in it, and it reads really well. And the imagery, even if you don't know the stories, it's still like the energy is definitely there. So now if you do readings like on here, it does have a little bit of a glare, so you kind of have to play with your lighting a little bit for these. But yeah, I really like this just for a general quick, like if I just need to take one deck that I don't want to have to look at a book for or anything, and I just want to be able to read super efficiently, this is the one. So here's kind of a little bit of a random one. This is one that I use. It's an oracle deck. It's called Spirit Cats, and I think it's by Nicole PR. Forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. This is, again, it's kind of an odd deck, but it's one I never really see anybody else use. And it's super simple. Like I'll use this for like just pulling a card of the day, having one on my altar. Like if I just want like a quick little bit of guidance for the morning. I host meditation nights at my local metaphysical shop, and so a lot of times I'll like pull one of these at the end of a meditation for like a little bit of guidance. It doesn't have a book, but that's because they have the reading on the back. And I'll even use this for a client reading for like a little like supplemental words of wisdom or guidance or a little bit of context for a reading or something like that. But this is one of those decks that's really cute and simple, but it'll also call you out. I love it how it started with a curiosity card. But yeah, it honestly, like, it's one of those decks that just speaks really clearly and will give you, just really interesting context and readings. You see, I am not good. I did not clean up my decks before doing this. I like cleansed everything, but and it's just, the imagery is really cute. The cardstock is decent and it shuffles really nice. I have like small hands, so it I love decks like this because they just are really easy to hold in your hand and shuffle. But yeah, I just really like this. It's a deck. I put it in my top 10 because genuinely I use it a lot. Like I said, for both me and even for clients and for like different things, like I said, for my meditation nights. And it just gets a lot of use. And it's a deck that I have like 33 or more, something like that, decks, and it's just one that I keep coming back to, and I've had it for, I want to say, a couple of years now. I also have another kind of different oracle style deck. This is another one that I've been using for years. I actually don't have the box anymore. But this is the Soul Truth deck. I just keep this in like a cloth pouch. But this is a great deck for journaling prompts. It's a great deck to add context to a client reading. I'll use these at my meditation night too. I'll even use these during a client session, like lives or like Zoom sessions. With clients a lot, even if it's like an energy healing session or something, because it's just really, I mean, it's obviously very crisp and clear. It also has, this also doesn't have a guidebook, but it has additional info at the end and even like an action you can take to help deal with that energy. Sometimes I'll do card pulls over on Twitter, so I like to use these a lot because it gives the person something to go off of, even if they're not great at reading cards themselves. But they just have some really gentle but hard-hitting prompts in there, and sometimes I'll even like expand on them. And I'll take like the first question and I'll start journaling about it. And then it might inspire me to another question. And it's really great. Like if you, like for me, sometimes when I sit down to journal, I don't always know exactly what to start with and where to go. So I'll just sit down and be like, all right, spirit team, can y'all just tell me what would be best for me to start journaling on tonight, and I'll just pull one or two of these for that. And I've had this deck for 2-3 years now, and I keep coming back to it. At this point, it's definitely one of my most used decks, and I've had it for so long, but I still will sometimes pull a card that I've never seen before. And then there's also times where I pulled the same one for a month straight and really going like deep onto a prompt. And I still feel like even if I pull the same question like in the same like couple of months or something like that, the answers change, and I find myself like going more deeply into it and getting something new out of it. So the energy on this deck and just the way it's put together, I really enjoy. Let's see. Do I want to do another? Do I want to do my tarot? All right, I'm gonna go with this one. So this is another tarot deck. This is one I don't use constantly, but it's a special deck. And it's one that I've honestly never seen anybody use. And it's one that when I do, I'll get into kind of zones of using it. I may not use it for a few months, and then I'll pull it out and use it a lot for like a few weeks at a time, back to back to back. And it's actually like probably one of the first 5 decks I ever bought. I don't remember exactly when I got it, but it's one of my first tarot decks. And let me show you what's really cool about it. And it has a really nice, I love, especially when I was first learning tarot, this was a really nice book, and it had full color, really easy to read, and like really full descriptions. What's special about this deck, let me show you. So I'll show you the cards too, but for example, the 2 of Wands, it has 2 sides, and it'll give you it's similar to reading reversals and having that built in, but I would say it goes a little beyond reversals. It really like gives you very different energy, symbolism. It's very much like the other side of the coin, and it gives you that insight. I love this deck. It gives me such interesting readings, and sometimes I'll like ask for just one card, and it's more in the zone of show me a situation that I need to understand more deeply, or I need to see another perspective of it. And I'll do it like that so that I have both sides. So see, this is the 3 of Swords. This is kind of a more traditional front. And then it has the back, and you see like there's a knight there. And once you kind of get to know the book, it's chef's kiss. The symbolism that you can get out of this, like it's one of those decks that, especially when you get like here's the Tower card, the front. Oh no, I think this is considered the front. And then this is the back. The Hierophant. I will say this doesn't have the best representation in it. Oh, see, look at this one, the Strength card, and then on the back we see like the Devil in the Strength card. Like it's just so good. It's so good. And I just keep getting. There we go. Yeah, you can get so much out of this. This is one of those things where you can only have this deck and just pull a couple of cards and get really full readings out of it. The box isn't my favorite. I don't really love when they have these, and it's kind of a big box, but it's because it has a really nice full book. So, it's well worth it. Next, we'll do another, this is kind of a specialty deck. This is one I use for more specific things. You can tell this is well used. The box was honestly pretty sturdy. I've had this for a few years now. It's gotten a lot of use. This is the Galactic Heritage cards. This is one of those decks where I really, really like it, but I also don't always, I kind of take some liberties with reading it. It does have a pretty solid book. This gets into like beings living on other realms and planets and some of that kind of thing. So if that's your thing, it's cool. Some of like, you'll see on the decks, they have like a theme, and then they have like kind of channeled imagery, and then it has a place. This one has Andromeda, and it has Parallel. I don't always pay attention to these. A lot of times when I'm using this deck, I'm focusing more on like the number, the theme, and maybe the imagery here. Sometimes it'll say parallel, past, future, present. So sometimes I'll pay attention to these. It's hit or miss if I pay any mind to these. I do astral travel, and I do universe mapping and stuff. So I work with a lot of realms and planets and places other than some of like the kind of like those top 10 ones that most people talk about, like Andromeda and Sirius and stuff. So this isn't always helpful for me. Like I said, I feel like I keep repeating myself, but I really enjoy, first of all, it's a big deck. I don't know how many cards is in here, but it's a healthy deck. And it just has, you can get some interesting readings out of this. Like New Paradigm, Embracing Family, Forgiveness, and it's just, especially if you're adding this, for me, a lot of times when I do readings, I'll use a few different decks, and I'll use one deck for one question or one part of the spread, and one deck for another aspect of it. And so this is one that just pairs really beautifully with the tarot decks I've already mentioned and the one that I'm going to mention. And it really will add like just if you really want to add a lot of clarity and depth and complexity to your reading, this can really add some really unexpectedly intense context to your reading. Oh, there's my number, 107. So yeah, I just really like this deck. Like I said, it's one of those that you want to, with the book, I go a lot more for the themes discussed than some of the more literal aspects. So if you're not super into that kind of idea of like aliens and like other beings from other places, don't let it completely deter you from this deck, because it doesn't have to be the main focus. And it's honestly a deck that my spirit team will encourage me to use a lot for readings, especially if I'm having a dialogue with them for like personal readings, or I do like collective energy work and land healings and things like that. And so a lot of times they'll have me pull this out when talking to them about that type of stuff. So very well loved deck. Next, we have this Oracle deck, Sacred Rebels Oracle. This was the first deck I ever bought. I actually bought this before I even bought a tarot deck. It was not, I think it was weeks later that I got a tarot deck, but this was my first ever deck, so of course it had to be included. And this is just a really nice, again, just an oracle card if you just need to pull one or two. This is one of those decks. Great book. Some of the cards have like 2 and 3 page interpretations. It's black and white, but that doesn't bother me. Like, really solid book. And it even has prompts for like affirmations or like a little meditation or visualization exercise to like integrate some of the energy. But this is one of those decks that I'll like literally sit while I'm talking to other people or a client, or just sitting and thinking about something, and I'll just sit and shuffle it, and as I'm shuffling, it'll just talk to me. Like, I know this deck so well, and I have such a good connection with it, that I can just like see like a flash of a card, and like mid conversation with somebody else, or like I said, even just like thinking about a subject, and I can get a wealth of information just from one card. This one definitely wants to come out. Conscious Connections. But beautiful imagery. Not the world's best representation, if we're being honest. Pretty much all thin white people, white women for the most part, cis women. But I just really, like I said, this holds a special place in my heart just because it's my first deck, and and even the White Owl is one of my my guides. And so this just reads really beautiful. The guidebook is excellent. I like a deck, especially an oracle deck, that has a really well thought out book, and where you can actually get a lot of value from reading it. It's worth reading it versus just kind of looking at the card. And I like that about this deck. Like, this is one that I'll actually genuinely go and want to read the message in the book, even if I've pulled the card multiple times, and I get something new out of it every time. So this is a fave. All right, we are down to the top 4 decks. My How Time Flies. This is the Cosmos Oracle. I got this as a, was it Christmas or birthday present? I think birthday present. Beautiful packaging. We are all star stuff. The book, depending on the person, I don't know that I would consider this a beginner's deck. The book is very simplistic. Let's see. But this is like literally a Cosmos Oracle. This is all about physics and space, and it's a really, really unique deck. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody with this deck. It's an independent artist who makes it. Now I'll have to look at who makes it. By Gia Perinella, the Cosmos Oracle. The book is a little simple, like I said, almost a little channeled. This is a deck that a lot of times I will use when I'm channeling. It came with a tarot mat too, which is really nice. Let's see. This is the deck. Very simple imagery. Again, it's one, and I've honestly had this deck about a year now, and I'm still learning to use it. It's one that I don't necessarily use every week, even like maybe like once or twice a month. I use it for like collective energy updates and checking in with the collective a lot, checking in with like my energy body, integrating healings, and like I'll use them for very specific client readings. Stuff about soul trajectory or like past lives or something. It's definitely a deck that I can't get a quick reading off of this. This is a deck that I have to think about. I have to be channeling, or I'll like really need to sit and read the books and kind of integrate what it means. Sometimes I will use this deck just by itself, which is rare for me. Most of the time, unless it's just an oracle quick one card pull or something, I always blend decks in readings. But this is one I'll technically do alone, just because it's one of those that I really like want to be very intentional with, and I get very precise and like distinct energy signatures and readings from it. It's a beautifully thought out deck. Definitely if you're like a more advanced reader, or you're really into science and physics and some of this kind of stuff, I would definitely recommend this deck. If you're a beginner, or you're not super this stuff, like stuff about the stratosphere and that kind of stuff. Kind of, if you've been sitting here watching me flip through and you feel lost looking at some of the words, I still would encourage getting it, but I would wait maybe until you're a little more developed, or if you really, really feel called to it. But it's a deck that I definitely have been growing with, and it's advanced my divination practice by leaps and bounds in the fact that it does challenge me. But yeah, great deck. Really cool, unique readings from this one. All right, we're getting there. Let's see. Now we have my Energy Archaeology deck. This is another deck by an independent artist, Ashley Stinson. Beautiful book. Beautiful, like very well thought out and interesting readings for each card. Even has prompts for like meditating or journaling on it. Beautiful book, well thought out. It is really nice, especially when you first get the deck, to read the beginning. I genuinely recommend reading the beginning, especially for this one. It has some really cool card pulls too, but it gives you some really valuable context that helps you read the cards better. I really like this packaging, because especially now that I got this around the same time as I got my Cosmos Oracle, and at this point, this one's a lot more, compared to the Cosmos Oracle, this is a lot more effortless to read. And so at this point, I can just grab this and maybe a tarot deck. And if I'm going to the metaphysical shop to do readings, or I'm going to a friend's house or something like that, and I just want the essentials, I'll grab this and maybe the tarot deck I'm about to show you. And I can get a great reading just out of those two decks. Really nice card stock. They shuffle really nice. I think maybe when I first got it, it did take me like, I had to sit and like shuffle a little bit just to kind of break the deck in. But once you kind of break it in, it just shuffles wonderfully. This is based off the energy of bones. Ashley Stinson does an amazing, some amazing work on embodiment and understanding the energy in different parts of the body, and work is just definitely recommend checking them out. And I think they have another one coming out, and I will definitely be getting that deck when it comes out. But say this one is Inheritance and the Pubis Bone, Dreaming and the Occipital Bone. I really like this because I work with what is called, for me, soul mechanisms. Like how a lot of people look at the energy body through like chakras or the meridian system or something. I have developed a system with my spirit team based on soul lineage and stuff like that, called the soul mechanisms. And it's a different way of viewing the energy body, and very similar to how Ashley Stinson, I think I'm saying her name right. Yeah, Ashley Stinson. Similar to how they've developed this unique approach to looking at the energy in bones and the fluid realms and different realms in the body. I have a similar method, but there's actually a lot of overlap where they line up, and so I can actually use this deck in conjunction with some of my soul mechanism work, but still getting that other perspective. And it's just beautifully done. The artwork is gorgeous. I'll use this for personal readings, client readings, collective energy readings. It's great for looking at how like a transit or a full moon or a collective energy shift is impacting your body, your emotional and like embodiment state, I guess you could say, and just what's gonna come up for you, what's going to be valuable to focus on and pay attention to in your body when something is occurring. If I'm doing a reading about, you know, just in general, like how something is impacting somebody, this is really great to incorporate for that context about where an energy is showing up in the body. Just beautiful, beautiful deck. Use it all the time. Has quickly become one of my most used decks, of course, because it's number 3. Now, number 2. And really, you'll understand when I get there. I almost want to say my top 2 decks are tied, and you'll understand when I show you the other one. But as far as decks I've bought and everything, this is probably my favorite. And Energy Archaeology is, I would say, is my favorite Oracle deck that I've ever received. But this deck is the Alleyman's Tarot. This was on Kickstarter. Great book. The Spiral Bound has given me a little bit of trouble. I also have just really used this deck a lot, and it's a deck that I will definitely use the book on. There's cards in here that are, it's basically a blend of tarot and oracle, honestly, but their descriptions, even for like a 10 of Swords or the Sun card or whatever, it's worth, even if you really, you know what those cards mean, it's worth it to read the book because they have a great perspective and way of discussing them. It's a really straightforward reading. You'll see even here, like we have 2 Sun cards. I think there's like 8 Devil cards or something, or Death cards. There's all kinds of cards. There's a lot of duplicates, so I really like it, especially with the Death ones, because death is such a nuanced subject. You can get spiritual death, you can get the death of a cycle, you can get physical death, you can get the process of dying. Like, it can just go in so many different ways, and each card goes into that depth. Like, you can get so much complexity from a reading with this deck. I will actually just use this deck alone. This is, again, one of the few decks that I will do a reading only with this. I will do a reading with just this and Energy Archaeology, and get a very thorough reading as well. But this is a really special deck because every single card, for the most part, I think there might be some exceptions, is from a different deck. And in the book, it tells you which deck it came from. So it's also been a cool way to like discover some new decks I hadn't seen before. And then there's also decks that the creator made as well. And I'll actually do readings based on the backs of the cards too. Now, my deck also has a few bonus packs because of when I got it in the Kickstarter. I'd be totally open to doing a full video just on this deck, going more in depth into it. I obviously can't go, like, this is a massive deck. I obviously cannot go through everyone in this video. A huge deck. Honestly, because of my small hands, a lot of the times I will I will like do a reading just with that. Like I'll like take a piece, I'll intuitively just select a chunk, maybe shuffle it for a bit, and then intuitively select a chunk or grab it from a couple of different places and just do the reading with that, because there's so many cards. But this is like an incredible deck. It's so, so good. I mean, look at this. It's so good. This is another one of those decks that has like, this is the back of a card. Can 100% get a reading off the back of that card. And so it's even that's the back of a card, could totally use that in a reading. It's advanced my divination skills so much since using it. It's literally, it's my favorite tarot deck by far. I'm so happy I got it. I think I waited like a year for it to come. You know how Kickstarters can be, but it was worth every minute. It's so good. If you can somehow get your hands on it, if you can find it on eBay or something like that, get it. It's so worth it. Whew. But yeah, all right. Last but not least, and then I have two little bonus divination tools that I wanted to throw in. So I would be remiss to not incorporate this, and that's why I said technically I would consider Energy Archaeology to be my favorite oracle deck and the Alleyman's Tarot to be my favorite tarot deck. And then this one is my self-made deck. Still in development. I still will go back sometimes and redo a card. They do stick a little bit. This is a handmade, hand-painted, channeled deck with energy embedded into it, energy work done on them, channeled like light language and details, and it's based on a dialect of light language from my soul lineage that's connected to my energy weaving. And I can actually use these as energy activations for spells and energy healing. And of course you can do that with other decks too, but this is like specifically made for me, and I use it for client work and readings and stuff like that as well. But this is like a very personal deck. Eventually I might try to make it more official, but right now it's just something that I'm playing with and working with on my own. A lot of times I'll just use it if it's a personal reading. I'll just use this, but I will also use it as a supplemental deck a lot of times, and it adds like some just really nice oracle style context to a reading. And again, I can activate energy in these cards for others as well. But this is, I mean, I have to put my deck as the top deck, right? So this is just obviously a fave. It has just beautiful energy. It just pairs so well with my other decks, and I use this along with my top two other decks as a system all the time, and I just have beautiful readings with it. So yeah, now let me give you two little bonuses, honorable mentions before we close it out. I have my pendulum that I wanted to mention. This has like space in the inside that I put some of my spell oils that I make in it that is specifically for psychic perception. I need to tighten this up because the chain has been falling off, but I've just been using it a lot. So, but it has a really nice weight to it. And I really like the pendulum just for clarification, a quick yes, no, when I'm doing spell work and I want a little bit of help selecting herbs or items. It's also like if I've gotten a download or I'm channeling something and I want to verify the accuracy, like make sure that I am understanding something correctly, I'll use this to kind of triple check my work, I guess you could say. So it's really nice to have a pendulum in your collection to pair alongside your decks. I do have 2 other pendulums that I've had over the years. Both of those consider themselves retired at this point. I use them a lot more in my earlier practice, back like 5, 6, 7 years ago, if not longer. But at this point, they have told me they're retired and they just like to hang out on my altar. And sometimes they'll have a little commentary when I'm over there doing stuff. But for the most part, they just hang with some of my crystals. And then we also have Please Forgive the fact that it is covered in cat fur. But we have my crystal casting deck. So you know how people have like charm sets? Please excuse Rico, the dog, who's getting cozy. I have a crystal casting deck instead of charms. I do also have a dice set as well that has numbers, and it has the astrology symbols on them for the planets and the signs that I like to use for a little extra context or detail. And then I have this filled with all kinds of like little tumblestones. I also have like a seashell. I have some like fossils in here, and various just different crystals. And I can get some really nice readings out of these. I'll do readings just with these, and there's more in here. I just didn't want to pull them all out, but they're also really nice supplemental aspects to a reading. And I'll read the energy of the stones and even talk to the stones for guidance or context depending on the question or like the part of the reading. But this is like just a really cool part of my practice and divination tools that I've never actually seen anybody with an exclusively crystal deck. I just happen to have a lot of tumblestones, and I got the idea one day that it would be really nice to like do a reading charm style but with crystals. So a couple of little bonus divination tools to close it out. I hope that was interesting. Maybe showed you some decks that you've never seen before. I'd love to know if you got inspired to go hunting for any of these decks to add to your own collection. And again, if there's a deck that you saw, like Aliman's or vice versa or something, that you want to see me do a full walkthrough of and maybe go more in depth about how I use it and my experience with the deck, I would love to include that. I hope you have a great rest of your day and you enjoyed this. Make sure you like and comment below. Bye.